A prayer service has taken place at St. George's Cathedral in Cape Town, calling for peace and for both sides, the city of Cape Town and SANTACO, to find each other. We believe that SANTACO is giving a briefing of sorts.
Actually, what we have been crying about, that always the punishment does not go to the person who's infringing or is offending. It always goes to the vehicle, the taxi, as if the taxi is not being driven by a human being. So we are clear. It would sound better if they were saying we will arrest all the people who were burning buses, who were destroying properties. No problem. In fact, we would actually encourage that, because we do not encourage lawlessness. But that is not what is happening. The taxes, our assets, must be taken away from us because people, human beings, committed offenses or committed crimes. Instead of punishing the people, we get punished.
Sorry, Mandla, you said what was the likelihood for resumption of operations tomorrow?
As we speak here and right now, we are not clear on whether we'll be able to resume operations tomorrow or not. As I said, until we have the engagement that we are going to have at 4 o'clock. But all of us, we feel the pain of our commuters. We are feeling the pain ourselves because it's our vehicles. It's us who are not going to be able to meet the monthly repayments at the end of this month. So it's us as well who are going to suffer, as well as our families and the families of those who could not go to work due to the taxi strike. So we have every reason to do everything in our power to ensure that the stairway is called off, but the conditions must be conducive for us to do that. It doesn't help to posture and speak with an iron fist. We have to look for solutions, and we should do everything in our power, everyone, us and the city. The city should work with us. There should be no preconditions that we can only go to the table if there is no violence for 2 or 3 days. People need to go to work as yesterday.
Mr. Hermanus, if you could just take us back to some of the demands that you have for the city of Cape Town.
What we have been saying is, first of all, we do not encourage lawlessness. Secondly, we are saying, with all the schedules of offenses that you find in the NLTA, in the NRTA, and in the bylaws, there are specific fines that should be assigned to each of those offenses. But what the city has been doing, which is what we have been complaining about, is that for every offense, our vehicles get impounded. The drivers are not punished for their driving behavior on the roads, but our assets, our livelihoods are taken away.
To be fair, Mr. Hermanus, the city of Cape Town says that that is the direction of the stance they were taking previously, the amendment of the bylaw that the taxi industry has a problem with. They were issuing fines, but it would find that one taxi operator has outstanding warrants of arrest and fines up to close to R1 million.
Well, if the legislation allows for people to accumulate fines of those huge amounts, then amend the legislation.
Which is what has happened.
The legislation has not been, national legislation cannot be amended by a city or by a province. It has to be amended by national government, and that has not happened.
Sorry, Mr. Hermanus, Aaron Bates here from Carte Blanche. So I just want to understand, you're saying if fines accrue and stock up because of non-compliance and then non-payment, the law should be changed so that you don't get fines for not complying with the law?
Absolutely not. What we are saying there are laws, there are fines, and there are consequences. You get a fine, you do not pay it. In fact, you first get a summon to appear in court. You don't go to court, you get a warrant of arrest for not complying with the summon. And if you do not pay still, you get arrested. You go to jail, you post bail, and you deal with that matter in court. Those are the remedies that are already there for all of us, not just for the taxi industry, also for private citizens. So we are saying those remedies that are there must be applied to all of us. But instead, the city is not applying those remedies. All it does is to say, I'm not going to worry about all these processes that I have to follow because they take forever. Therefore, I will simply impound your vehicle. And we are saying, for example, if you are caught driving under the influence of alcohol, everybody knows in the whole country that you get arrested, you go to jail, and you even get a criminal record for that. And when you have to apply for your PRDP, you can't get it because you've got a criminal record. Why then a need to let the person go who's driving under the influence and impound the vehicle when the remedy is there to deal with anyone who drives a vehicle, whether be it public or private, under the influence of alcohol? We are saying, let those laws that are there already, let them apply to me as they apply to you.
Sorry, Mr. Hermanus, I understand you're saying that the city is leapfrogging to impounding vehicles rather than taking other measures along the way. In what circumstances would SANTACO support the impounding of a vehicle if it's not roadworthy, for example, and it's putting passengers at risk?
Absolutely. That is what we have been saying. We have always been clear that we are not saying impoundments are wrong, but we are saying impoundments must not be used to target the taxi industry and to rob us of our livelihoods. We agree, for example, that if you are driving a vehicle that is not roadworthy, that vehicle should not be on the roads in the first place. If your driver does not have a PDP and a driver's license, that person should not be driving a vehicle where you are carrying 15 paying passengers, because we are providing a service to the citizens of the province. So we agree on that there are instances where a vehicle may be impounded. For example, a driver who does not have a driver's license, a vehicle that doesn't have an operating license, a vehicle that is not roadworthy, those are non-negotiables.
And Mandla, there are reports that some of the demands are to have a dedicated line and also be allowed to use the emergency line. Are the reports true?
Look, with the call for, but that talks to the engineering, the road engineering in the city. We have been saying for years that there is a need for dedicated lanes for buses and taxis. And that is only happening now with my city. So what we have been crying about, and the city has always said that is impossible to do, suddenly it's very possible now that it's buses that are going to use those lanes. For example, I'll give you, if you drive on Robert Sobukwe, the idea was to have dedicated lanes there from airport all the way to the Belleville Transport Interchange. The lanes are there. The signs are there to say taxis and buses from 5 o'clock in the morning until 9 o'clock. But there is no enforcement, so taxis have to fight their way with private vehicles when the lanes are there. So the idea has always been there, even from the city's side, to a point where they have marked the roads, put up the signage, but never enforces it.
If you could describe the relationship between SANTACO, the taxi industry, and government.
Impoundments must not be used to target the taxi industry. Those are the words of SANTACO Western Cape chairperson Mandla Hermanus. He also says it is unclear if operations will resume tomorrow, saying conditions must be conducive for that to happen. There's a meeting that will be taking place, he also revealed today, at 4 p.m. And we'll continue to monitor developments around this story, which has impacted many lives. Nasiphi is there for us.